So, you sit down, you close your eyes, and you ask yourself, who am I? You're waiting for that big answer, right? A flash of lightning, some kind of cosmic revelation. But what do you get? More thoughts, a grocery list, that embarrassing thing you said 10 years ago, a song stuck in your head. And underneath it all, this growing, nagging frustration that you're failing at the most important question you could ever ask. If this sounds like you, listen, it's not your fault. You've been given the right question, but you've probably been using it in a way that's guaranteed to fail. Today, we're going to look at why self-inquiry so often feels like a dead end, and I'll show you the subtle shift that turns it from a frustrating mental puzzle into the direct dissolution of the puzzle solver itself. The main reason self-inquiry feels like hitting a wall is that we completely misunderstand its purpose. We treat "who am I?" like a problem the mind is supposed to solve. We think if we just analyze our experience with enough precision, or repeat the question with enough passion, our mind will eventually spit out some satisfying, conceptual answer. But that's like trying to use a pair of scissors to drive a nail. It's just the wrong tool for the job. Your mind, by its very nature, deals in objects, thoughts, feelings, memories, ideas. It can only analyze and label things that appear in your awareness. But the whole point of self-inquiry, as taught by sages like Ramana Maharshi, isn't to find a new object or another piece of information. The purpose is to turn your attention away from all the objects of experience and guide it back to the very source of experience. The mind can't find the self for the same reason your eye can't see itself. It's too close. It is the subject, the context in which all seeing happens. Trying to find the self with the mind is like a flashlight trying to illuminate its own batteries. It's impossible. The real job of the question, who am I, isn't to get an answer, but to exhaust the questioner. It's a sacred tool designed to be burned up by the very fire it creates. As Ramana Maharshi explained, the thought, who am I, is like the stick used to stir a funeral pyre. It destroys all other thoughts, and in the end, it gets destroyed too. The goal isn't a better answer. It's the silence that's left when the need for an answer just dissolves. The first and most common way this goes wrong is what you could call the mental hunt. This is what happens when you treat self-inquiry like an intellectual game. You ask, who am I? And your mind immediately jumps in, running through its usual catalogue of answers. Well, am I the body? No, the body changes and will die. I'm aware of my body, so I can't be my body. Am I my thoughts? No, thoughts come and go. I can watch my thoughts, so I must be the watcher, not the thoughts themselves. Aha! I am awareness. I am consciousness. And for a second, that feels really profound. You've landed on a conclusion that sounds spiritual and correct. But then what happens? It just becomes another dead concept in your mind. The initial buzz fades, and you're left with a new label. You haven't escaped the mind. You've just redecorated your prison cell. This mental hunt is so seductive because it feels productive. Thinking and analyzing are what the mind does best, so you're giving the ego a new spiritual project. It feels like you're making progress, but all you're really doing is swapping one set of thoughts for a more spiritual-sounding set of thoughts. The core assumption that there's a me in here who needs to figure it all out is still running the show. This isn't self-inquiry, it's self-analysis, and it will only ever lead back to more thinking. The real practice isn't about what you're thinking. It's about turning your attention to the one who notices the thoughts. Another big reason self-inquiry gets so frustrating is that we're secretly expecting some huge event. We've heard stories of sudden, explosive awakenings, of blinding lights and cosmic downloads. So we sit, we ask the question, and we wait for the fireworks. Every normal thought, every itch, every distraction gets judged against this imaginary grand experience and is seen as a failure. A little voice in your head starts up. This isn't it. Nothing's happening. I'm doing it wrong. That very attitude of waiting creates a tension, a kind of striving. You're constantly looking toward a future moment when it will finally happen, which means you're completely missing what's right here, right now. The truth is, genuine insight is often way quieter and more subtle than we imagine. It's not about adding some spectacular new experience to your collection. It's about recognizing what has always been here, silently underneath every experience you've ever had. It's the simple, unadorned fact of your own awareness. Expecting a big event is like staring at a silent, empty sky and being disappointed there's no thunder and lightning. You're so busy looking for a storm that you totally miss the vast, quiet, and ever-present nature of the sky itself. The practice works not when something big happens, but when you finally relax your search and notice the simple background awareness that's effortlessly here in this very moment. Success here is usually a quiet recognition, not a loud explosion. This is maybe the most subtle trap of all. It's when the ego, seeing that it's about to be found out, pulls off its most brilliant trick. It stops identifying with your everyday personality and creates a new, improved one. The spiritual seeker, the watcher, the witness. You have the insight. I am not my thoughts. I am the awareness that watches them. This is a huge step, but it's not the final one. For many, it becomes a new, comfortable home, a golden cage. You end up creating a new split within yourself. You have the bad thoughts and feelings down here, and you have the good, spiritual witness up here, watching them from a safe distance. The ego is now disguised as the one who is practicing self-inquiry, the one making progress, the one who is more aware. It will even start keeping score. I was a really good witness today, or my awareness was so clear during that meditation. This is the spiritual ego. It's the original seeker, just in a new outfit, and it's still running the show. It's a trap because it keeps a subtle sense of separation alive. There's still a me, the witness, and a that, the world being witnessed. The true goal of inquiry is to investigate this witness. Who is aware of this watching? Who knows this state of being the witness? The question has to be turned on itself until this final, subtle subject is seen not as a separate entity, but as the formless nature of everything. Until then, you're just observing the puzzle, instead of letting the puzzle solver dissolve. So, if those are the traps, what's the solution? The shift is surprisingly simple, but it's also incredibly deep. It's a move from thinking about the question to feeling into its source. Ramana Maharshi's main instruction wasn't to just repeat "who am I" over and over like a mantra. That's just more mental activity. The question is only the tool that starts a U-turn for your attention. The real practice is this. Whenever a thought or feeling arises, you ask, to whom has this appeared? The answer, obviously, is to me. Now, here's the crucial next step. Don't try to answer the follow-up, who am I, with words. Instead, turn your attention inward and feel for this me. Search for the source of this I thought. Where does this feeling of I-ness even come from? You're not looking for a description. You're using your attention like a homing beacon, tracing that signal of I back to its origin. This isn't about force or concentration. It's a gentle, curious, non-conceptual looking. You're simply pulling your attention back from the edges, from the thoughts and feelings, to the very center of your being. You're shifting from being identified with the content of your experience to just resting as the context for it. You stop trying to solve the riddle and instead learn to abide in the mystery. Let's try this for a second, right here and now. You don't have to close your eyes. Just notice that you are aware. You're aware of the screen, of these words, of any sounds in the room. Now, a thought might be here. Maybe a thought about this video. This makes sense. Or maybe this is confusing. Whatever it is, just notice the thought. Now, gently, without any force, ask inside, to whom did this thought appear? Instantly, there's a sense of, to me. Now, instead of grabbing the next thought, just let your attention sink into that feeling of me. Don't try to define it or find it like an object. Just rest your focus on that inner feeling of existence, that simple sense of I am. Don't look for an answer in words, just feel. Notice how this I isn't a thing you can grab. It has no color, no shape, no edge. It's just this open, aware space where the thought just appeared. Rest there for a moment. This is the practice. It's not about finding an answer, but about returning to the place before the question. This practice isn't just for a meditation cushion. In fact, it becomes truly powerful when you weave it into your daily life. When you feel a flash of anger in traffic, you can ask, to whom is this anger appearing? And trace it back. When you feel anxious about a meeting, you can ask, who is it that's anxious? And turn your attention inward. Every emotional reaction, every time you get lost in thought, becomes an invitation. It's like an alarm bell reminding you to come home to yourself. This transforms life's challenges from being problems you have to solve into being pointers you can follow. You stop being a victim of your experiences and start using them as fuel for your own investigation. This isn't about suppressing your feelings or becoming a robot. It's about finding the stable, unchanging ground of being on which all the changing feelings and experiences are playing out. It brings a kind of peace that doesn't depend on your life being perfect. That frustration you felt with self-inquiry was never a sign that you were failing. It was an essential signpost. It was the friction of your mind trying to do a job it was never designed for. Frustration is what it feels like when the ego tries to find the self. The real path of inquiry isn't a path of achieving, but of surrendering. It's not about finding the right answer, but about dissolving the one asking the question. It's a subtle shift from a mental hunt to a quiet abiding, from waiting for fireworks to noticing the silent sky, from identifying as the witness to dissolving into witnessing itself. Stop searching and just start noticing the awareness that's already here, effortlessly perceiving these words, this moment. That awareness isn't the answer. It's the reality to which the question points. If this shift in perspective resonates with you, subscribe and hit the bell for more deep dives into the nature of awareness. We also have a free community where we discuss these practices in more detail. You'll find the link in the description. Now, just take a moment. Don't ask, who am I? Just notice that you are.